Hi, Ms. Berg.
Hello, Michelle.
Good morning, and thank you for meeting with me today. I thought we had a very productive post-conference. I can't wait to come back in to do some follow-up, which leads us to the PGP coaching plan. No longer do we just go over scores, a model, talk about impact, and then sign scores, and then you're off on your way. Now, this part comes in because my support for you is going to continue, and I'm very excited about it. And so just to go over the template with you, Beth Berg is the teacher, observer Lori Charley. We're going to begin this plan tomorrow, October 1st. I'm supposed to run this plan or support for about, I would say 2 to 3 weeks. This plan's gonna be into effect until Friday, October 25th. I know that the next cycle does not begin until December 16th, so this gives us plenty of time to get some support work done. And then at the same time, if we see we still need to do some support work, we can keep moving and still give you some time before your next observation could possibly occur. So, the first thing that I've listed is the student need. And would you agree that the need is that students must provide specific and clear feedback to one another based on your expectations? Yep. And I pulled that straight from your refinement objective, which is the next piece. Teacher need, post-conference plan refinement objective. By the next observation, the teacher will strengthen academic feedback in terms of student outcomes by engaging students and giving specific and clear feedback to one another based on teachers' expectations. That comes straight from your post-conference. We just talked about it. So the next piece says recommended action, post-conference plan refinement. All I did was pull your model straight from the post-conference plan and I put it there. Okay? Because this is what we're working on, right? So then the next piece is this 4-5 column chart. And so I've gone through and I've come up with some ideas, but notice it's not printed and it never will be printed until the end of it because we need to work on it. If there's something you come up with, we're gonna put it in there. If there's something you don't agree with, we'll take it out of there. But I want you to notice we have activities and resources. The second column is evidence of teacher learning look-fors, so that's going to be addressing the teacher need. Then evidence of student learning look-fors, that's going to address the student need. And then the next one says reflect, adjust, next steps. That's going to be where you come in and do some reflecting. But notice that I've put some abbreviated activities and dates there. That's because you and I are going to commit to putting some dates on a calendar. And I figured, let me put it here, because then when you eventually reflect on it, you'll be able to reflect on, did these help you? And did we get the result that we wanted? And then the initials for me, of course, when it's done, okay? So, we talked in the post-conference about requiring students to give academic feedback to one another, and we talked about the importance of using criteria. But I needed to take a step back when I came to do this because I'm thinking to myself, well, in the lesson that I observed, Ms. Berg had the criteria on a slide, the success criteria. What would be even more meaningful for you than you just, and for kids, than you just giving them the criteria?
For them to help.
Absolutely. So here we go. List success criteria in your daily lesson plan to use as a guide as you lead students in unpacking the learning target and creating the criteria together, okay? So rather than you just putting the criteria up there, the learning target, the standard, then once you're annotating the target, so what is it, students, that you will have to do to know that you're successful? And we let them come up with them. So in the lesson that I just observed, what would be the criteria? What would be the success criteria that we want students to engage in?
So be able to use a model to identify the atoms in the reactants and products.
Okay.
So they got that from the learning target.
Okay.
And then be able to use a model to describe how the total atoms does not change.
And
so
we said that we were going to get students to start doing what?
Explain.
Yes.
In their describe. So explain how they know.
And that's coming. But notice here, not only am I saying let's list the success criteria in your plan, because you need that, because you know where you need to get students. We're just not gonna put it on the slide, because you can write it on the slide. What's another way that you can list the criteria out?
So I can have them do it on chart paper
Chart,
or on the
chart,
whiteboard.
absolutely. But it's so important to have it planned out, because you have to know how to guide students to where you need them. Require students to annotate the learning target as well as write the success criteria in their notes during the new learning. I'm gonna add that in there. I don't know if they're doing that or not on their paper, but that's
Usually
what.
write their learning target, but we only discuss the
So
success
now
criteria.
we just
So
add
we-
that little piece. So what is gonna be the teacher look for? So if I'm coming in and I wanna see that Ms. Berg has done that, where am I going?
You go into my purple binder that has my
Lesson plans, and what else will I see it in once you're creating? It'll
You're
be
gonna
in
see
the
it in the
slides,
slides.
and,
on their anchor chart
Anchor
or
charts.
whiteboard, wherever we decide to.
so I observe core 2. You come up with success criteria. Do you leave that success criteria out for when core 3 comes in?
No.
That's right. So you just have them somewhere. I've seen teachers just put the next blank sheet of paper on top of the one, because you wanna go through it
Right.
blank with each class. What am I gonna be looking for to know that students have done this? Their notes.
Mhm.
Gonna
They can
have the annotated learning target and the success criteria. To give some kind of timeline to you, which the template does not give, but the Charlotte who lives by a calendar and expects the teachers to do it too, I'm gonna
Absolutely.
say, and this is gonna hold me accountable, Ms. Bird. It's also gonna hold your master teacher accountable, who's your master?
Okay.
It's gonna hold Ms. McCray accountable. We'll be able to check lesson plans the weeks of October 1st, which is tomorrow, but we'll give her a day or two.
Yes.
October 9th, which is not a Monday, but we come back from fall break. October 14th and October 21st. Okay? The next activity I suggest, you'll meet with master teacher McCray or Lori Charlet or your partner teacher weekly during 7th grade science PLC as needed to receive feedback on your lesson plan. So here's what I've come up with. We absolutely owe you feedback on that. So what is going to be the look for? Again, the lesson plan slides and anchor charts will include the success criteria, and I added. So if this is being done during PLC, what else can I look at? Your PLC agenda or notes that will include the meeting dates and times as needed for lesson plan reflection for students giving feedback.
Okay.
Again, 7th grade, I had to hold myself accountable. 7th grade science PLC meetings, October 3rd, October 10th, October 17th, and 24th. So while it is advised that we give a couple of weeks to let this roll, I'm rolling it out for 4 weeks. But 4 weeks doesn't mean the end. 4 weeks means we gotta come back and reassess to see if we're good or if we need to keep going, okay? Here's another one that I put in here. And this one may have needed to go up with the lesson plan one. We can adjust the template. Notice I'm not printing anything, right? Include specific activities in your daily lessons, which require the following. Students work independently or with a partner to draw conclusions, describe or explain their reasoning. Partners then provide oral or written academic feedback to one another using the success criteria to ensure that their feedback is aligned to the learning target and standard. And the teacher circulates to listen to student conversations in order to formatively assess student understanding and tracking individual students. So what I can look for is you're facilitating learning that requires students to draw conclusions, describe or explain their reasoning. And I should see also that partners are given opportunities to provide oral or written feedback to one another using the success criteria. What's another thing that I can look for? I didn't put it on here, but I'm going to add it. That last part that I said right here, that you're doing what?
So they're understanding, tracking individual students. So
What are ways that you track student learning in your classroom?
during class, I have a clipboard
That-
I
Look,
mark
so I'm putting
students
that.
who are doing, not doing, who's understanding.
Look, it's your anecdotal notes,
Mhm.
right?
Just my notes on
Another look for is teacher tracking on the clipboard. So if you include that, clip that with your lesson plan, that's part of your IGP.
Right.
Think about that. So I did this one on, products and reactants. Everybody except student B got it. Then I know I'm gonna have on my notes too, what did I do the next day for student B? Or the majority of the class didn't do it, so I should see it, in your science starter or wherever.
Right. Should be science starter or review for the next
Yep.
day, depending on how deep I feel I need to go into.
And you're the expert. By all means, you are the science expert, and I am so thankful that you are. I'm learning too, Ms. Berg. So what is it that we would expect to see students doing as a result of this?
So students are going to be drawing conclusions, describing, explaining their reasoning for their answers, what they figured out, whether it's verbal, oral to their partner, or written down, and then giving each other that feedback, either verbally or written.
So if I come in on any given day, or you bring work to leadership, or you have work in cluster, right? You bring work to PLC, then we should see evidence that students are required to justify and explain, right? And then, look, I'm holding myself accountable here, but I will be bringing Ms. McCray in on this too when I'm not able to.
Okay.
But Charlotte will conduct walkthroughs and provide written academic feedback to you. The one thing that I didn't include here were dates. So I was thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get in there this week with my calendar, but I'm thinking that Ms. McCray and I will look at the calendar and we'll set a date, and we're gonna put on that invite Charlotte, Berg, and McCray. And we'll be even specific to, would you say core 2 is a good time to come, since that's the class I observed?
It is a good time. There's no breaks in that class. It's a full, core 1 or core 2, just because it's not broken up.
So
It's
I'm
not got that
putting-
lunch recess in it. It doesn't have the bathroom break in it.
Yes, ma'am. I'm putting week of October 1st, core 2. What we will do is you'll know when we send invites, okay? Ms. McCray, who's not in the video, does that sound fair to you?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Then we'll do the week of October 9th. I or Ms. McCray will get in there at least once. The week of October 14th. And then the week of October 21st. So now, that's what I came up with. You're a very strong, effective, proficient teacher, Ms. Berg. I feel confident that you have structures in place for students to give the feedback. We're not sitting here talking about think, pair, share. We're not sitting here talking about getting students to collaborate. They do that.
It's to be effective.
And it's going to be to take it deeper to get them. Remember, we talked about thinking of problem solving. But is there any other activity that you can think of? This is all about you and your planning. Whether it's in your PLC, writing your lesson plan, we'll look at the work, we'll come do walkthroughs and give you some written feedback. Is there any other activity that you can think of? Is there maybe a teacher you would like to observe where students are giving each other feedback using criteria?
I would like to see if there's a teacher on campus that does a really good job with students creating their own success criteria, to be able to, just to make sure I'm engaging them the right way in developing that so they can use it.
So she won't mind me at all, but you're gonna observe Stephanie Dagson. Hey, Ms. Dagson. Teacher will observe SD. No, I'm gonna put the name. Stephanie Dagson's, and it can be her 10 o'clock math class. Core 3. Miss McCray, either you or I will be available for that.
Yes.
Students creating success criteria. What I'm gonna have to do is get with Ms. Dagson to see when that's going to happen, because they do an excellent job also of giving feedback to one another,
Right.
each other using the criteria.
I was gonna ask, do they do that? But I'm sure I couldn't stay, it'd be difficult to stay the whole lesson, because
They do, it's from 10 to a little after 11,
Okay,
but
so-
that's a planning period for you, so I mean, but yes, you can.
Right, to see, you know, them
So what do
using
we,
that as well.
what do we expect to be a teacher look for from this? So you go, you see Ms. Dagson, you learn, you take your notes. What is it that I can expect to see as a result for you?
So, one, I should have, you know, taken some notes, I should have internalized that. you know,
Teacher
more than
notes from
that.
classroom visit?
And then when guiding students in building their success criteria should be more effective.
And how can we, what we're gonna do is the next one. Okay, so now, and thank you for that. Now, let's think about what we're looking for in the student.
So the students should be able to, based on the guiding questions from the teacher and the learning target, be able to build their own success criteria.
Let's say students will collaborate to create success criteria. After, let's just say, we'll collaborate to annotate learning target and create success criteria. The same timeline. Let me get with Ms. Dagson. So I'm not gonna put a date there, but I'm gonna go back and put a date or the week of, because she may tell me it's after benchmark, right?
And I
But
think
that's
because
why-
everybody's gonna be kind of preparing.
And I'm just thinking out loud to everyone, I just feel like putting this plan into place, you've gotta give it some time. It can't just be, okay, we're gonna do this week and next week and then you're done. No, this is a month long. This is a
Yeah.
month long. However,
This is gonna take a little bit of teacher
Yeah.
learning
Well, you gotta-
and a little bit of student learning.
there's a learning curve, and also what we have to do is remember that while we're doing this, we're also supporting other teachers as well, right? So we're gonna get with Ms. Dagson, and again, I'm gonna come back into the document. Once we have that there, I am going to print this out for you and put a copy in your box.
Okay.
That'll, cause it would have come with this, it just, we weren't ready for it. I wanted to get your input. And that way you'll have it, and then as you're doing your little things, you can just sit there and make your notes. Because at the conclusion of it, then you'll be able to turn this back into me. McCray will be able to let me know what she has done as well, and that's where we can go in and reflect, adjust next steps. Next steps might be continue this until November 17th, right? Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you, Ms.
Bird.
Shirley.
It's nothing like going first in your 33rd year of supporting teachers. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I was going through this, I was feeling a little intimidated, like, can I do this? But you have made it so easy for me, and I look forward to learning with you, and I look forward to seeing students giving some good feedback in there. Thank you, Ms. Bird.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.